Hello, this is Mr. Cruz, and this is our first lesson on World War II, 1939 to 1945. This is the basic introductory lesson. It's meant for high school students, in my case, 9th graders. There will be a lot of things that we will not talk about. So scholars, academics, please don't be too harsh on me. We are lining this up with high school content standards. And this could also be a very basic review for any undergrad students of mine that maybe it's been a while since you've been in college and you need a little refresher course. We're going to use Marzano's top 9 strategies as often as possible during this lesson. These are the 5 essential skills we're going to focus on once the students are back into the classroom and they have covered the knowledge and comprehension base at home. That's our ultimate goal. This video may or may not be shown in class because we are trying to flip our classroom. And in order to flip our classroom, we're going to go into it in stages. We are going to learn how to use these videos in class so you understand what you need to do. Then you're going to start doing the videos at home. So when you come into class, we will focus on DOK levels number 3 and 4 for the majority of our class time. So get ready. You're going to set up a textbook because we got rid of our textbooks. We don't even know where they are in my class. So we're going to be using your smartphones. You're going to be using your laptops to get on the interweb. You're going to be using desktop computers, iPads, whatever it is you need to do to get on the internet, you're going to do it. So that's the idea of a flipped classroom. We definitely are not abandoning content. In this video we'll cover content. Right now, since this is my first video, we're going to do it in class. But this will eventually go into strictly homework, where they're watching the videos and learning the content of the topic that we are teaching. These are the standards. I'm in Detroit, Southwest Detroit, in the state of Michigan. So these are our standards that are covered in this lesson. If you're in a different state, please line up your standards accordingly. Shouldn't be too hard to do. Depth of knowledge, level 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is our goal. This is what we're hoping for in our flipped classroom. We want to cover level 1 and 2 mostly with video at home. Now, why video? Well, we can differentiate the lesson. So students, what you won't do in class, you can do at home. If you really don't understand this stuff and you need me to slow down but you don't want to raise your hand because you're too embarrassed to ask, well, guess what? Now by doing this as homework, you can hit that pause button and you can rewind it, you can go back, you can slow it down, and you can just study at your own pace and you can learn the material. Students that the pace is good for, students in the middle, you can just follow along as we go. You'll find the pace to fit your learning style. Those that are advanced say, hey man, I learned this in 7th grade or 8th grade, or my dad taught me this stuff, or my mom taught me this stuff. You can start blowing through this when it's a homework assignment and you don't have to spend time doing something you already know. So by doing this at home, the idea of the flipped classroom is the content and knowledge base will be differentiated by the student for the student. Okay, here are our objectives. Our objectives for this video are right here. Many of these objectives we will cover in the video. Some may have to wait until we come into the classroom the following day, but these are our objectives for this lesson. Okay, topic number 1, a basic introduction to World War II. Okay, what are we talking about here? We're talking about World War II. Remember, World War I was supposed to be what? The war to, that's right, the war to end all wars. Well, it wasn't. World War I was a sneak preview to a far more catastrophic war. Some historians will tell you it's really just one war with a break in between. You can save that analysis for undergrad or graduate school. But when does it take place? Again, you know, history is not like a math class. 10 times 10 is 100, that's it. There may be differences of opinion on this. Some scholars will argue exactly when World War II started, but for this basic introductory course, We're going to go with 1939. And most people would agree it ends in 1945 with the Soviet Union taking over Berlin and Hitler's suicide and Germany's surrender. And then when Japan surrenders, usually that's accepted. Where is it? It's all over the place. It's in Europe. It's in Asia. It's in the Middle East. A little bit North America and South America briefly. Why? What happened here? There's a whole lot of whys. What we're going to go with here is what we're going to consider for our lesson. And again, this can be debated by historians. We're going to go with the Nazi invasion of Poland on September 1st, 1939 as the official start of World War II. Who's fighting? You got the Allies, you got the Axis. Sometimes the Allies you hear called the Allied Powers or the Allied, and you'll hear that also for World War I. So, depending on your source. Okay, who won? Well, the Allies won, but by winning, it took a lot. How many people died during World War II? Again, this number is debated depending on your source. It can be anywhere from 50 to 70 million. For this lesson, we're just going to go ahead and say approximately 60 million. If your teacher or textbook's telling you something a little different, that's fine. Most sources are somewhere between 50 and 70 million. When did the United States get in this thing? We'll study this a little further in future lessons, but let's at least be familiar with this. Remember in World War I, we didn't jump into that thing till when? That's right, 1917. And it ends in 1918. Well, we didn't get into World War II right away, but there was one major event that brought us into this war. On December 7th, 1941, the Japanese attack a naval base in Pearl Harbor, and they take out a U.S. fleet. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, your 32nd president, FDR, declares war on Japan. Now, while they're mulling over what to do about Nazi Germany, Hitler goes ahead and declares war on the United States, so it made the decision for him. But Japan, why did they do this? What were some of the reasons? What were they thinking? Well, some of the reasons were, from the Japanese perspective, the United States military presence in Hawaii, we were interfering with their commerce, with their trade, and making money on the seas, and also them having influence in that area. That we were interfering with that. We're interfering with them economically. We're interfering with them militarily and politically in some ways. Another reason was that many in Japan felt, you know what, the United States is going to jump in this war. Either way, we might as well take on this fleet while it's docked with a surprise attack rather than fight them in the open seas. So from the Japanese standpoint, that's where they were coming from. Now, some of the effects of this attack on Pearl Harbor, well, the major one, it brings the United States into the war. Okay, some of the teams here, the sides, if you will. The Allies, the Soviet Union, which is communist Russia. We talked about this when we studied communism and capitalism. Also at this time known as the USSR. No longer is this the flag of Russia. No longer do we refer to it as the USSR. No longer do we say Soviet Union. We simply say Russia. But at this time, Russia is communist. When communism implodes in approximately 1991, this name drops, and the flag changes. Okay, Great Britain here, the United States of America, and France. In our next video, we'll study the world leaders of some of these countries. Okay, the Axis is Nazi Germany. This is definitely not the flag of Germany anymore. Japan and Italy, these are still their flags. The Axis. Now, the Axis and the Allies, the countries that we're referring to, again, this is an introductory course, so we're not going to list every country. There's more than these on both sides, but these are the major players as far as this lesson is concerned. Okay, let's do a quick check for understanding. Okay, now my students, I know you weren't just sitting there being passive listeners. You were either taking Cornell notes, active note taking, or you were making circle maps as a way to take notes. You were doing one of those two. So looking at your Cornell notes or your circle maps, please answer the questions to this formative assessment. Okay, teachers, students, you can pause the video. Okay, we should be done with our formative assessment. Perhaps we did a quick peer review, and we can move on. Now we are at topic number 2, the Treaty of Versailles. Now, many of you should be saying, hey, wait a minute, I thought we studied this at the end of World War I. Yes, we did. And yes, it is the same treaty. What's it got to do with World War II? Well, we hinted at this as we're closing out World War I. And now we're going to expand a little further. The Treaty of Versailles is the treaty that Germany surrenders, signed so they can surrender for the end of World War I. This treaty cripples Germany economically, politically, militarily, geographically. They give up land. This crushes Germany and makes them very desperate, very little hope, broke economically, and they're blamed for the entire war. So before we even go any further, I would like you to think about this for a second. Here's an example. What kind of person is more likely to rob a liquor store? Someone that has a very good job, makes a decent amount of money, has a nice house, a minivan, 2.5 kids, the whole deal, soccer practice, everything. They have a very nice, happy life. Or someone that's desperate. They're broke. They can't get a job. They can't pay their bills. Which one of those two is more likely to do something absolutely drastic, absolutely desperate? I think you know the answer to that, but think about that metaphor. So I want you right now, before we go any further, you predict the outcome. I summed up what the Treaty of Versailles did to Germany in my own words. How do you think this is going to go down? I want you to take a minute and I want you to predict the German reaction to the Treaty of Versailles. Give me at least a paragraph. Tell me what you think is going to happen here. How are they going to feel and what are they going to do? And we can pick this up after you hit pause, and we'll probably be on the second video.